Few things inspire as much online chatter as a discontinued fast food item. The Mcskillet, a burrito sold relatively by McDonald's in the early 2010s, is one of those fondly remembered, much discussed lost menu items of yore. This content was paid for by Netflix and created by Looper. Ryan Reynolds is one of the most versatile actors in show business. His gifts for fast talk and flawless deadpan delivery make him a standout in the comedy scene, and his rugged good looks and confidence have also shown through in romantic films. Never enjoying more than a small but devoted cult following, probably why McDonald's decided to stop offering it in the first place, fans of the breakfast menu specialty item frequently digitally pine for the entree, saddened and frustrated that they're unable to satisfy their craving this many years later. They fill online petitions asking, if not demanding, to return the item to its lofty position on the immensely popular breakfast menu. If that weren't enough, he has some seriously impressive dramatic chops and really brings the heat to action hero fare as well. There's truly nothing Ryan Reynolds cannot do, so every time he stars in a new film, it's an automatic must-see. For his next outing, Reynolds will star alongside Dwayne, The Rock, Johnson and Gal Gadot in the upcoming international heist thriller, Red Notice. Reynolds will star in the film as the greatest conman in the world, so fans can probably expect to see all of the actor's charms on screen when this exciting new flick arrives on Netflix on November 12. But until then, there are a few other great Ryan Reynolds films you can stream on Netflix right now. SelfLess. Ryan Reynolds gets the chance to play two compelling characters in the 2015 Tarsum Singh thriller, SelfLess. The film features Ben Kingsley as a billionaire named Damien Hale, who, after being diagnosed with terminal cancer, undergoes an experimental procedure called shedding, to transplant his consciousness into a younger body that's supposed to be artificially created just for him. These requests seemingly don't attract much attention from McDonald's corporate headquarters or its menu development staff, because the Mcskillet never has made a comeback, not unlike so many other fast food favorites. So when Damien wakes up from the harrowing ordeal, he's delighted to find himself in a fresh and fit physique and living with a new identity. However, after forgetting to take his prescribed post-operative medication, Damien begins to experience hallucinations of a family he doesn't know and realizes they may not just be figments of his imagination. Nor has it made a seasonal, occasional return like the McRib. In fact, those visions belong to a man named Mark, who sold his own body to provide for his child and whose memories can only be suppressed by Damien's meds. Let's add to the groundswell of support and help further romanticize the myth, the legend, and the glory that was the McDonald's Mcskillet burrito-like breakfast food. The Mcskillet wasn't really new upon its introduction to McDonald's restaurants in November 2007. The Mcskillet was an anomaly amongst the lineup of McMuffins, McGriddles, and biscuit sandwiches, a Mexican-inspired burrito-type wrap that more closely resembled the monster burritos of lunch and dinner-only chain Chipotle. It consisted of a large tortilla wrapped around a substantial pile of breakfast sausage, scrambled eggs, potatoes, peppers, onions, and salsa. While the idea of a big burrito on the McDonald's breakfast menu was a novelty, burritos on offer at Mickey D's first thing in the morning were business as usual. As Mark's thoughts begin to re-emerge, Damien has to make a decision about whether to return his new body to its rightful owner or rid it of Mark's mind for good. He also must set out on a perilous mission to uncover the truth of the shedding procedure before it's too late for others. At the time, McDonald's had long been selling a sausage burrito on its dollar menu, according to Food News. And, as of 2021, that more modest option is still a part of the official McDonald's menu. Reynolds' performance in the film is completely captivating and packed full of surprises as the action unfolds. 6 Underground vigilantism goes to the extreme in 6 Underground. Released in 2019, Michael Bay's action comedy film features Reynolds as a billionaire magnate who fakes his own death in order to disappear from the world stage. Why? So he can start his own elite hit squad of other ghosts, people who leave their old lives behind to join the secret army. It's a small tortilla filled with eggs, sausage, American cheese, chilies, and onion. It's really quite a bit like the heavily missed Mcskillet burrito, just smaller. With no government allegiance or systems to control their decisions, these nameless fighters are free to choose their own worthy targets. There won't be any medals or ceremonies waiting for them after their jobs are done, but one hopes his ragtag team of talented specialists can quietly right some of the world's biggest injustices, starting with taking down a brutal dictatorial regime whose horrors he's personally witnessed. The Mcskillet burrito sits among McDonald's numerous failed attempts to introduce Mexican-inspired cuisine. Reynolds' turn as the determined but inexperienced mercenary is a real ride, filled with intense action and the kind of levity only he could pull off. Green Lantern Reynolds has quite a storied history of playing complicated military veterans who are unexpectedly recruited into superheroism. In addition to becoming Wade Wilson for X-Men Origins, Wolverine, and the smash hit Deadpool films, Reynolds also took on the title role in the 2011 superhero action film, Green Lantern. Based on the eponymous DC Comics character, Green Lantern, features Reynolds as Hal Jordan, an arrogant test pilot who's chosen by a power ring to join the Green Lantern Corps as a guardian of his sector after the demise of his alien predecessor. Not only does he struggle with the training process for this strange new gig, but he also faces a particularly deadly new foe in the fear-harnessing villain Parallax, who threatens to destroy Earth with the help of a possessed human who has some powerful connections. In the 90s, for example, it marketed a breakfast burrito and chicken fajitas, and in the 2010s, McDonald's test marketed a chorizo-stuffed breakfast burrito. McDonald's thoroughly promoted the Mcskillet. It can't be said that McDonald's didn't at least try to get the public interested in its Mcskillet burrito. Hal must not only become the Green Lantern, but he'll have to convince the others of his ilk that his home planet is one worth fighting for. In addition to boasting Reynolds' signature charms, the film also features an all-star cast, including Reynolds' future wife, Blake Lively, along with Peter Sarsgaard, Mark Strong, Angela Bassett, Tim Robbins, Jeffrey Rush, Taika Waititi, Michael Clark Duncan, Clancy Brown, and more. Safe House. There's nothing like a tense action thriller to show off Reynolds' might with both his fights and his character development. The chain aggressively promoted the large breakfast burrito in several ways, particularly with an expensive, high-profile event stretching across 2 days at some of its busiest and most visible outlets. According to QSR Web, McDonald's held a 2-day, sampling event in February 2008, in which customers nationwide could taste a Mcskillet burrito for a very low price point. The entree came free with the purchase of a medium or large soft drink or coffee. Meanwhile, at McDonald's locations in Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, the restaurant company got celebrities involved. In the 2012 film, Safe House, arriving September 16, Reynolds stars as a CIA operative named Matt Weston, who's assigned to oversee a remote safe house in Cape Town, South Africa. On one day of the promotion, Spanish-language banda singer Yolanda Perez did a meet and greet with customers at a Los Angeles McDonald's. A major San Francisco radio station did a live remote broadcast of its morning show from a Mcskillet bearing McDonald's, and R&B superstar Ciara actually worked part of a shift at a McDonald's in downtown Chicago, handing out goodies, like Mcskillet burritos to customers. Since he doesn't get many guests at this facility, Matt doesn't see much action on the job, and he's spinning his wheels in hopes of getting a more exciting assignment from the bureaucratic brass. However, everything changes for Weston when his safe house is finally put to use. According to chief marketer, McDonald's was prepared to give away about 1 million Mcskillet burritos during the 2-day celebration. The Mcskillet was part of a far-reaching fast food experiment in the mid-2000s. Fast food chains gave healthy fare a shot. A former CIA agent, Denzel Washington's Tobin Frost, goes rogue and is brought to the facility for interrogation. According to the Orlando Sentinel, Burger King introduced a line of low-fat chicken sandwiches and McDonald's Go Active adult Happy Meal that included a salad, bottled water, and pedometer. When the site is suddenly stormed by mercenaries, Weston steps up to protect his charge and get to the bottom of Frost's stories of corruption and abuses in the world's most elite intelligence agency. Most of those new products flopped, and according to Newsweek, fast food places went all in on gigantic, fat-laden menu items after research found that the most frequent quick-serve customers were young men who wanted big, delicious treats and didn't care about calorie counts. Almost every fast food chain then seemed to be in competition as to who could release the biggest burgers and most massive breakfasts. With non-stop action and entrancing performances, Safe House is a tour de force for Reynolds and Washington, who are both firing on all cylinders throughout this wild film ride. Betty White, First Lady of Television. As plentiful as Reynolds' acting talents are, he's also become known for his delightfully cheeky social media presence and many faux feuds with his favorite people in Hollywood. The McDonald's Mcskillet burrito, with its 610 calories, twice the amount that can be found in a standard Egg McMuffin, was a part of this fast food fad. And after he got to work with Betty White on the 2009 romantic comedy, The Proposal, starring as the beloved grandson of her feisty character Annie, the two developed a similar bond. According to Entrepreneur, the Mcskillet was McDonald's entry in a breakfast business war that also saw combatants like Carl's Jr.'s 830-calorie breakfast burger, Hardee's 900-calorie country breakfast burrito, and Burger King's 730-calorie enormous omelet sandwich. They even filmed a fake fight on the set of The Pick that he would bring back a dozen years later to celebrate her 99th birthday. So when PBS decided to honor White's stellar career with the 2018 documentary, Betty White, First Lady of Television, Reynolds had a lot to say about her life's work and how it influenced him, both before and while he got the chance to work with her. Fans of Reynolds' relationships with fellow Hollywood favorites won't want to miss his stories about sharing the screen with this American icon. While these menu items generated a lot of press and attention, they didn't enjoy lasting success, and nearly all of them were ultimately discontinued, including the Mcskillet burrito. The Mcskillet was a central piece of a McDonald's marketing push. The Mcskillet burrito was McDonald's carefully crafted response in food form to mid-2000s market research that said its customers wanted bigger, bolder breakfast options. It served as a second purpose, though, as an attempt to cater to what the company thought was an underserved market, or at least a demographic that wasn't well represented in McDonald's customer base at that point. When McDonald's launched the Mcskillet burrito, an item inspired by Mexican-American cuisine and including traditional Mexican ingredients like salsa and a tortilla, its marketing campaign specifically targeted Latino news outlets, releasing a statement about its first new nationally released breakfast item in 5 years on Hispanic PR Newswire. According to Nation's Restaurant News, McDonald's ran Spanish-language TV ads in several major markets, and Chief Marketing Officer Bill Lamar said that the Mcskillet has particular appeal for our Hispanic customers. Around the same time, according to QSR magazine, McDonald's teamed up with the Hispanic Scholarship Fund to sponsor and fund educational opportunities for Hispanic high school students, a charitable move, but one the company leveraged to increase its visibility among people with a Central or South American racial background. Why did McDonald's get rid of the Mcskillet? Despite the hard and aggressive sell, and the fact that it was the first major addition to its breakfast menu in years, and a nice alternative to the eggs on fluffy bread approach that dominated its morning offerings, McDonald's couldn't get the Mcskillet burrito to work. The entree wasn't only the biggest thing on the breakfast menu, it weighed half a pound, according to Brand Eating, but it was also among the most expensive. According to the Impulsive Buy, it cost $2.49 in most markets, but as much as $3.29 in others. Perhaps the relatively high price point turned off McDonald's customers used to familiar foods for rock-bottom prices. The Mcskillet burrito also had to contend with other outlets offering more assured Mexican-style breakfast foods. Breakfast burritos made and sold by small and independent restaurants have been part of the American food scene for decades, and McDonald's likely had a hard time making inroads into that sector, where the food was just as inexpensive and just as portable. But no matter the reason, McDonald's quietly started to discontinue the Mcskillet burrito in the summer of 2010, according to Chowhound.